This is the story of the flight that I should have died on. I'm about to embark on a journey that will take me across the world to a remote farmer's field in Ethiopia. A field which is a grave for 157 people who lost their lives in the tragic crash of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. A field that, but for a fleeting twist of circumstances, should also be my grave. Like an inescapable magnetic force, this field has stalked my daydreams and haunted my nightmares ever since that fateful day in 2019. I thought that if I went personally to pay my respects, I'd hopefully find some sense of closure. Little did I know that everything on this trip was about to go horribly wrong, as if that field did not want me to escape again. We recently passed the 2-year anniversary of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, and this is my first time coming back to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia since then, and it's definitely weighing a bit heavy on my mind being back here since what happened. In March of 2019, I was focusing on finishing the last countries that I had left in Africa while I was attempting to break the Guinness World Record for the youngest person to travel to every country. I had gotten word that my visa had been approved 5 days early for Eritrea, and so I left 5 days early to take advantage of every extra day, because at that point when I was breaking this record, every day counted. Because I got my visa back early, I was able to book my flight on March 5th and not March 10th. As fate would have it, those 5 days are the difference between my talking to you today and my being a casualty statistic of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 that crashed on March 10th, 2019. It might sound strange because I've been flying around the world my whole life, but I recently developed a lot of anxiety when getting on planes, and I believe that the ET-302 plane crash has a lot to do with that. It's actually a very strange story because out of all of the flights that I've been on in my life, this particular flight from Addis Ababa to Nairobi was very memorable because as the flight landed in Nairobi, the entire airline crew went on strike. So the airport was completely abandoned while all of the passengers were inside, and I was actually stranded there for a few days. ET-302 departed from the airport in Addis Ababa at 8:38 a.m. and crashed only 6 minutes into the flight. The plane impacted the ground at 700 miles per hour, and the debris could be found up to 30 feet deep into the earth. Only 5 months earlier, another Boeing 737 MAX 8 had also crashed in Indonesia, this time killing all 189 passengers. After investigations, these crashes were attributed to a faulty automated flight control system called MCAS, but there is much speculation and debate around the specific technicalities that caused these fatal accidents. After the disaster in Ethiopia, the world realized that the plane crash in Indonesia was not an anomaly and proceeded to ground the entire MAX 8 fleet. Reports largely blame Boeing for poor production quality, design flaws, and inadequate training for crew members. I still remember where I was the first time that I saw the headlines of this plane crash surfacing online for the first time.
8 of the crash victims in Ethiopia are Americans, including Melvin and Bennett Riffle.
I remember looking at my phone with just disbelief because it was one of the first times I ever had something so tragic happening on the news be so close to where I was in person. It's a rainy day outside in Addis Ababa, and I actually found the GPS coordinates of the plane crash site. And since the flight crashed only 6 minutes after takeoff, the location is only around an hour or two outside of the city, and very pulled to go there and to see this place for myself, not only to process the reality of it within myself, but also to feel my condolences for the victims of this tragedy, and to make my peace with this experience. We're gonna get going now. All right, we are leaving the hotel now. It stopped raining a little bit. Let's see how it goes. We're in the car now on our way to the crash site, which is outside of a small city called Bishoftu. And like any major international airline flight, the passengers on ET302 were from all over the world. Some of them were heading to Nairobi for an environmental conference. Others were just on their way to work or simply on their way home. In reality, I wasn't there, but the thought process of how close I was to being there has been really affecting me. And in a way, even though there was a multi-day delay between my flight and the flight that crashed, it still feels like a near-death experience. This drive is actually turning out to be a lot more intense than I was anticipating, because this dirt road is very bumpy, and there are rain clouds above our destination, so it's threatening to rain. We're not sure if we're gonna make it at this point, so fingers crossed. We're almost there. "157 people were killed on this plane crash, and the victims were from over 35 countries. And it's the feeling here is very eerie. They've completely boxed off the crash site itself, but just realizing that this is where the victims took their last breaths it's very intense, and it's beginning to rain now, which it feels pretty fitting. Some of the families of the victims were actually given bags of scorched soil from here, because the identification process was nearly impossible since the airplane crashed at such a high impact. It's starting to rain really hard now, and we're concerned that we're not going to be able to get out of here safely through the road that we came. So unfortunately we can't spend much time here, but I'm really grateful for the opportunity I had to really come here and process this tragic disaster. And it really doesn't make any sense why these kind of freak accidents happen to some people rather than others. I'm grateful that I was able to miss this run-in with death, and I'm gonna be thinking of the victims and remembering them for the rest of my life. Now, this is the point in this expedition when everything began to unravel. This was also the point when I realized that this place, which should have been my grave, was not about to let me leave so easily. Oh my gosh. It's starting to rain so hard now. I can't believe that it's coming down so hard right now, and we just had to immediately leave. We had a very short amount of time here because unfortunately there's a few river beds that we need to cross to head back to the city, and they are potentially filling up right now, which would trap us here. So this is definitely not the most ideal scenario, but I'm glad that we got at least a few minutes before we had to leave. I'm praying we don't get trapped out here right now, because this might be some of the hardest rain I've ever seen in my life, and we are putting this 4x4 through its paces, so wish us luck. There's like thunder beaming down right now. This is such an intense scenario. I had the idea of coming here to resolve my anxiety towards this situation, and I don't know if it worked.
Kick it. I'm over here, got my hood out to make sure the driver can see.
If this would have happened literally minutes earlier, we would not have been able to see the crash site at all. So this is actually very wild circumstance that we're in right now with the closeness of this timing. I'm grateful, but I'm optimistic that we're also gonna get out of this tonight because it's also it's gonna get dark pretty soon.
Because the water, every water from here is going down to the river. So pray. They're pushing.
Teddy, what is happening?
They're pushing.
Well, update is that our car is very stuck, and we're gonna be here without any cell phone reception for at least the night. We barely have any water left. We think we have like 2 mini bananas. The locals are arguing on who's gonna host us tonight. She doesn't have any shoes. She's literally wearing flip-flops. And the truck is just destroyed. Like, he thinks we're not even gonna be able to get it out tomorrow, which means that we're gonna have to walk for 3 or 4 hours back to the main road until we can get some reception to call someone from Addis Ababa, which is 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. So that's the update. Yeah, I'm feeling very anxious about this this whole situation, so we'll see how the night unfolds. What did I get us into? We're arriving at our new home. Got the yeah, injera. Injera. Thank you so much. So grateful for you. So smoky, wow.
I was telling them, I'm really grateful for you guys taking us in and housing us, feeding us, giving us shelter, even though you don't know us at all. You help us out with the car, because it was stuck in mud. They pushed it out. He literally just blew his horn, and like the whole city freaking showed up to push it out of the mud. And then he was like, if it wasn't fasting season, like we would have slaughtered a lamb or like a cow and would have had a feast, but unfortunately you guys came during fasting, and I'm like, you just taking us in is like more, it speaks volumes. And so very grateful to these people, because they don't know me, they don't know them, and just for them just to take us in like we're family and share what they have is just mind-blowing.
We're tucking in for the night now. We've had a good dinner, pretty eventful evening. It's not exactly where we figured we were gonna end up tonight, but we've got a roof over our head.
We had a little dance party.
Yeah, got some dancing. We can see the moon peeking out over the trees over there, which means that it's probably not gonna rain tonight. So
At least not until the morning.
crossing our fingers for a 6 a.m. departure as soon as the sun rises. We're gonna get out of here and back to the city. So, good night. Finally, 6 a.m. We've been counting the hour basically every hour for the past 8 hours. Yes, the time has finally come. It rained a little bit last night, but hopefully we can still make it out of here. But we're gonna go trek back to the car and see how far we can get. It looks like it's gonna rain again right now, so race against the clock of if the car is gonna work. Our guide said he was feeling fleas in his bed last night, so hopefully we don't track those home with us. But you know, grateful for a roof over our head. This place was great, but it's time to get the heck out of here.
We barely survived this night.
We were literally clinging to each other for dear life all night long.
It was so cold. Doors cracked open. It was so cold.
I would have literally died without you. Oh my god. So is this just like a checkup, or you making sure everything's still there, or? Like, God. So we avoided this ditch, but we got stuck on the other side. Alright, well, we're officially stuck again, and the driver has abandoned ship to go try to find some help. So we're just sitting here now. The only thing we can really do is just stack rocks under the wheels and hope that they help us get out of this pit. But it's raining. We're very, very exhausted, and we're gonna be late for our flight, so.
6:50.
Yeah. Well, we had to abandon the car now because it was too stuck, and we're having to walk for 2.6 kilometers in the middle of nowhere to try to get to the next paved road, to try to figure our way out to get back to the city and hopefully make it in time for our flight, which is in 4 hours, and the city is 2.5 hours away. So it's gonna be a miracle if we make this flight, and if we don't, our entire second week of the trip is canceled. All right, let's get to the airport.
This is crazy.
It's nice.
Can't believe we made it. Against all odds. I certainly wasn't expecting our trip out to the crash site to result in this insane overnight adventure. It's the hospitality in people that you find in these off the beaten path places that never cease places to amaze me. It was also really crazy because we were literally staying with the family whose backyard is where the plane crashed, and it was very emotional hearing their perspective considering that they were there when it happened. But now we are pretty tired and dirty and our entire bodies are covered in flea bites, but we made it to our flight on time against all odds. And one of the biggest takeaways I've had from this experience is the benefit of overcoming your fears. As you can see, I'm not letting my fear of flying hold me back from experiencing all of the things in this world that are going to make me feel fulfilled with my life. Of course, there's turbulence right as I'm talking about this. But every day is a gift and you have to make the most out of it. And you can't let the possibility of something bad happening deter you from making the most out of your time here, because it's very, very precious. And something that has helped me a lot with my fear of flying and my fear of heights is meditation, and I usually meditate for 15 minutes before and during every flight, which I highly suggest if you struggle with the same thing. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sending you guys so much love, and I hope you have very safe travels in the future, and I will catch you next week.